Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Earth to Taylor with your host, Taylor. Today is going to be a wild ride, okay? You got to keep an open mind, stay with me. And if you feel like it's too much, just know who cares what I believe and who cares what's going on in the world. At the end of the day, we're all going to die. So let's talk about some crazy shit. I want to get straight to business, and this is one of my favorite topics. This is one that, honestly, if you have seen me in the last couple years, I probably have brought it up to you, especially if we like talk on a deeper level. What the fuck is going on in our skies? Orbs, drones, plasmoids, oh my. What the fuck am I even talking about? The drone situation was going on TikTok, and another belief that I have of why they're trying to take TikTok away is the things that we're being able to see and post and interact with. Crazy shit that's going on, but not even just the drone. The drone situation started in New Jersey, right? But orbs are also appearing at the same time all around the globe, okay? So while these drone situations are happening this past year, and when I said the word plasmoids, some of you probably never heard that in your life. You've probably heard the word plasma, but plasmoid, that was a new term that I had never heard of. The very first time I heard it was in the last like 9 months, and that was before all this drone situation started happening. So imagine how insane it feels to be somebody doing research like this, and then all of a sudden everybody's seeing these orbs that are like plasma based orbs, okay? And we're gonna get into all of these three main things: orbs, drones, and plasmoids. I'm not gonna get into UFOs, and UAPs technically could coincide with the orbs, right? But that UFOs and aliens and all that, that's going to have to be an episode in of itself, because there's so many, movies, books that I've read, documentaries that I've listened to, interviews that I've listened to with military members, whether it's Air Force, Navy, three-letter agency people, things that I have learned about UFOs. That's going to have to be a topic in of itself. But today is just basically where are these orbs coming from? What is an orb? What is my theories on the orbs? What is my theories on the drones? Because drones obviously man-made, right? And not to say, I'm going to start off by saying this. Anything that I say, these are just my favorite theories of explanations, because to me it coincides with a bunch of patterns that I've recognized outside of just this subject. When it comes to like history, esoteric knowledge, there's a lot of symbolism that relates to these orbs right now. So I asked ChatGPT, tell me all you know about orbs. What do you know about orbs? What the fuck is this, right? If you knew nothing about orbs before today, I want to give you at least a general consensus. So, when it comes to different contexts, it provided me with multiple kinds of topics to relate orbs to. So, it says when it comes to religious and mythological context, light spheres or sacred orbs throughout history, orbs have been depicted as glowing spheres associated with divine or supernatural entities. In Christian art, orbs are often shown in the hands of angels or Christ, symbolizing divine authority over the world. Then there's sacred geometry and esoteric practices. The sphere has been regarded as a perfect shape in sacred geometry, representing unity, wholeness, and infinity. Some traditions associate orbs with portals or vehicles for spiritual beings. In Eastern philosophies, Buddhism and Hinduism, glowing lights and orbs have been linked to spiritual enlightenment or manifestations of divine energy. And I want to point out right fucking here. Obviously, I said it 3 times. Vehicles, okay? And it gets crazier. So, goes into folklore. Willow the Wisp. If you've ever seen the movie Brave, remember the Willow Wisp? These little tiny white lights. Also, they were blue lights in Brave, but Willow Wisp in European folklore, glowing orbs of light hovering over marshes were said to be spirits of the dead or mischievous entities leading travelers astray. Then there's fireballs and ghost lights in many cultures, Native American, Japanese, folklore. Mysterious orbs of light are considered spirits, guides, or omens. Spirits, guides, or omens, okay? So think about this continually. The word vehicle, I feel like, represents it best, whether it's a conscious vehicle, a physical vehicle. It is something residing in there, okay? So then it moves ChatGPT, literally. I know some people are very scared to use ChatGPT, but it is so insightful when it comes to stuff like this. So it says modern paranormal and UFO research. Ghost hunting. Orbs are commonly reported in ghost investigations, often appearing as glowing spheres in photographs or sky or videos. Skeptics argue many such images are dust particles, lens flares, or reflections, but believers consider them evidence of spirit energy. And I'm sure if you were like me, like even when I was younger and I would watch, ghost hunters and all that shit, and you would see orbs or spirits. I just believe that if our eyes can only perceive literally less than 1% of all light around us, right? And I'm going to show y'all a picture right now. So, and if you're listening to me, it's a light spectrum, and it goes from like Y rays, X rays, UV rays, and then you get into like microwaves, the radio waves, long radio waves. But in this picture, you can see where that rainbow is right in the middle, right? Right in the middle, there's a tiny little sliver highlighted, and that is 0.0035% of the light that we can see. So, skeptics can say whatever the fuck we want. We can't even perceive the full spectrum of light. Imagine what is going on around us all of the time that we cannot see or perceive. Just like how animals can hear certain sounds because our ears can only hear certain levels of frequencies. Even in the sound barrier, we can only hear a small percent, right? So let's continue. Then it brings me to UFO phenomena. I didn't even say this to ChatGPT. ChatGPT literally is just that bitch. It's helping me. Says orbs are frequently reported in UFO sightings. These glowing objects often move erratically, seem to defy the laws of physics, and are sometimes linked to alleged extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings. Make note of this. For the coming years and all the research they're doing right now, that's coming out now and that will be coming out, I personally believe in this next year. Interdimensional, right? Extraterrestrial means it is a life form from another planet. Okay. Interdimensional means it is a entity going through time space. Okay. And then it says scientific perspectives on orbs as plasmoids. I've never talked to ChatGPT about plasmoids and orbs together, which, yes, I've talked to it about some stuff, but the fact that it put that together without me saying that, insane. All right. It says plasmoids are a stable, self-contained structures of plasma, a state of matter consisting of charged particles. Here's how they connect to orbs. They often appear as glowing spheres or blobs. Similar to many reported orb sightings, plasmoids can form naturally during lightning strikes, ball lightning events, or in the atmosphere under certain conditions. They can exhibit erratic movement, luminosity, and other properties resembling orb phenomena. Laboratory experiments. It says scientists have created plasmoid structure in labs, suggesting a potential link between natural orb sightings and plasma physics. Some researchers propose plasmoids form due to fluctuation in Earth's electromagnetic field, which could explain sightings in high geological activity. So insane that I started reading about plasmoids in the last 9 months to a year. And whenever I researched it, yes, they can artificially make plasmoids inside of it's just charging the particles in a certain area, right? So to me, it's like creating a space bubble, like it's a bubble, right? And it's made out of plasma. But at the end of ChatGPT's conclusion, which is the conclusion that I came from reading the Harvard paper about plasmoids, it says, conclusion: orbs are fascinating phenomenon with interpretations spanning physics, spirituality, folklore, esotericism, while plasmoids provide a plausible scientific explanation for some orb sightings. The idea that they could be manifestations or tools of interdimensional beings remain speculative yet compelling. In this context, orbs could serve as a bridge between science and the metaphysical, challenging us to explore the boundaries of what we understand about the universe. Okay. And there was a paper that came out, and I read the paper 2 to 3 times. And holy shit. For authors, we have Ron Gabriel Joseph, Oliver Plankin, Christopher Impey, Richard Armstrong, Carl Gibson, and Rudolph Childs. And this is where they work at. Astrobiology Research Center, California, Biosciences and University of Bourgogne. It's in Dijon, France. Department of Astronomy, University of Arizona, Department of Vision Sciences, Aston University in Birmingham, Center for Astrophysics and Space Sciences, University of California, San Diego, Center for Astrophysics, Harvard, Smithsonian, Cambridge. They, even though, yes, anybody can put a paper on Journal of Modern Physics, not anybody would come together to make this actual research paper if it didn't have some validity, especially people with fucking PhDs. These are professionals. These are smart ass people, right? And you can even see on here how many like publications, like one of them has 683 publications, 12,000 citations. You know, these are people that are fucking smart, that went to school, that know more than I do. And this is not just my fucking crazy opinion. This is what they're saying plasmoids are, right? So I'm going to go through and give you just a general overview of things that they say in that paper. And if you really want to know more about this, you will sit down tonight, and instead of doom scrolling through TikTok, which could be taken away in a couple of days, you're going to sit down and you're going to read that fucking paper and give your brain a little, you know, anything that makes my brain go, nothing is a coincidence. And if your brain is, then go and look into it for yourself, okay? Everything sounds heretical until it's not. They said that they've been filmed by the U.S. Navy, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, DHC, and NASA. So it's not just like one person's video. They took all this data from all of these places to watch these videos, right? They can fly, dive, and go into the ocean, no splash. What the fuck? You tell me. Throw something in some water right now. How the fuck did these giant orbs as big as cars or bigger not make a splash? Explain that to me. They've also seen multiple videos of them congregating and diving down into thunderstorms. And reason being is, think about plasma inside of electricity. What electricity is inside of storms? Lightning! These motherfuckers use storms to charge these balls, right? So they can really power up. It's literally like they're powering up their vehicle or charging their fucking electric car by finding things. Why else would they go into the ocean? Guess what I found out? It's because the oceans have ionized waves, more electromagnetic activity. So the more, ionized waves they are, the more charged they become. They talk about they went and found firsthand accounts of pilots of all kinds, whether from the military or, commercial flights, where they talk about they felt as if these orbs, when they've been sighted, are toying with their craft. Like they know what maneuver a plane is going to make before the plane makes it. How is that possible? Someone tell me, how is it possible for something to know a giant piece of machinery is about to go somewhere before it does? It's not possible unless, that's my favorite, unless we're talking about something that is not playing by the laws of this dimensional realm. And in these pictures on here, they show that the ones that they crash into, some of these plasmoids that they decide to crash into, it's like they're fighting amongst each other. Like they said, they're interacting with other ones. And they said the ones that are interacting and like trying to fight, there's some with a nucleus inside of it. I feel like I always say that weird, and I feel like I always sound like fucking Nacho Libre. Nucleus. What do I fucking say? But the nucleus that's inside of it, right? They're fighting ones with no nucleus inside of it. So me, what the fuck if it's an interdimensional vehicle and one has something and the other doesn't? And it's like, to me, a nucleus is like something that's living. Like I don't know. Like to me, looking at it off the top of my dome, it's like entities that have souls or are higher souls, and then there's entities that are in these other plasmoids that don't have souls. And you can tell because one has a nucleus and one doesn't. Every time that they see them fighting with ones, it's the opposite ones that are fighting. It's never the same ones that are fighting. The ones that come together, a lot of times they'll form back into one. So it's like they'll go apart, but because they're still on the same side, they can come together, right? Think about like Power Rangers, you know what I'm saying? When they're this big giant thing, but then they can all separate and be their own fucking thing. That is kind of like what they are. And on another side note, other times in histories that these orbs have been seen, Fukushima, when there was a power plant explosion where it let out a bunch of radiation, a show that you can go and watch, which I literally put this in here so that at some point I want you guys to go and look before I do a whole episode about fucking aliens and UFOs. One of them was Encounters. So in Encounters, they talk about these orbs appearing after all this radiation hits the air. They're trying to evacuate because there was an earthquake and it broke, the fucking power plant exploded, so radiation flying everywhere. Orbs appear. more than two, right? I don't remember if it was like 5, 6, 10. I don't remember how many, but they're recording. There's videos. It's in the show. You can go and see. And it's like they're all doing something. Like all these orbs, they're erratic, but they're staying, sedentary, like by Fukushima, but they're moving around in erratic ways and they're going different places, like they're at work or they're doing something, right? Come to find out, they took air readings of like the radiation in the air whenever it had first initially happened. And they're like, everybody needs to fucking leave, radiation sickness, all kinds of things. People are going to die. Y'all need to leave. And then they saw these orbs. So everybody then starts focusing on these orbs in the panic. Then after those orbs, I don't know how long they were there. I forgot what they said in the show. Y'all go and watch it and you can come back and tell me how long they were up in that air. But after they left, they took another reading of the air around them. And it was a livable amount of radiation like in the air to where no one would get sick or minimal to none. I forgot what the levels were, but people didn't like they helped. How the fuck does radiation just leave? It doesn't. It seeps, it flows out. You can't absorb radiation, in terms of like taking it away from the air. There's no known technology to be able to do that. How the fuck are a bunch of orbs popping up immediately after a natural, not natural disaster, but a natural disaster that caused a human disaster, and then these orbs show up, work, and then they leave, and then everybody can live? What? If any of you have ever heard of the Foo Fighters, right? They got that name from an experience with orbs. The name came from the term Foo Fighters, which were allied orbs that were alongside World War II military members during World War II, helping them. There were orbs in World War II. We're not talking about some crazy shit that just started happening a couple months ago. We're talking about something that, like, this paper, the way that they're speaking about it would make sense because they come during major. It's like, if y'all have ever seen the show Loki, I just started getting into it. It's like when you think about the multiverse and multiple dimensions of things, right? You have to understand that if these things have been showing up historically during major events, they are the keepers of time or the timeline, or they know what could happen if certain events happen. Meaning, I think that there is entities in this world that want humans to stay trapped into this 3D realm and want to be here or want to come back. We'll talk about, I've really deep dived also into past life regression sessions and near death experiences and stuff. I believe they want humans to keep coming back and stay in this karmic cycle. But then I also do believe that there's other entities out there that are trying to show humans that there's more than just this world and that material realm is not everything. All I'm saying is there definitely, even when you think biblical perspective, there's a battle going on. But when you think about spiritual perspective, there's a battle going on. And now, as I've learned, interdimensionally, it's outside of the realm of even religions, because this shit goes on all the time. Even if it's not the end of the world right now, messengers from the other side could be watching because we could be nearing a major event. They talk about that the plasmoids that they've seen on video, right? Or interviewed people with these experiences. They talk about that those things could pass through glass, they could pass through plastic, pass through metal, and in this plasmoid paper, y'all, they talk about astronauts in the ISS have watched them go into the ISS, pass through the window or pass through the wall and come into the ISS. And they said, y'all, oh my God, they said that it will just come up to them. Imagine a fucking ball floating right here in front of you. Come up to them, look at them, like, and go away. And go float right back out. Not like it's erratically moving or that it's doing anything, but tell me if that's not something. It's got to be something, They also talk about that they negatively affect electronics, right? And I think it's because the frequency that it's giving off. And when I talk about frequency, some people think that that's woo woo, when then literally, if you go and watch videos of like sand being put on top of a speaker, different frequencies create different shapes. What I'm saying is the frequency of these orbs is so strong. They literally said that it can turn off your car, turn off your plane. They have explosive properties. That's why there's also so many like Air Force members and other people that are, whistleblowing right now, saying that they feel like it's a danger to them, because literally it is. Like, to them, let's say they're showing up more and more and more, even if they're here to help, even if there's good and bad out there, if they're showing up more and more, more of our commercial flights or our military flights will be disrupted. They literally use this phrase, which my brain took a second to really like process: non-biologic pre-life form. Non-biologic pre-life form. I want everyone to try to wrap their fucking brains around what the fuck that could mean. Non-biologic meaning it is not like a skinned, meat sack here, right? Of pre-life, meaning how they form also gave them an insight to possibly how life started on Earth, which some people might freak the fuck out and be like, oh, but the Bible, blah, blah. I just want you to hear how all these things could relate. What your religious beliefs could relate to Native American beliefs because it relates to science beliefs and it relates to spiritual beliefs. Literally, that's theorizing that plasmoids, right? These entities or interdimensional things, which knowing that these are different in of themselves, extraterrestrial and interdimensional are different. But if this could be a vehicle for the oldest of consciousness, right? What do you think the oldest consciousness is out there in the universe? To me, that is an amazing theory of like, there is interdimensional beings in other dimensions, right? That are watching Earth and what we're going through, and they are conscious and they're aware. How could these plasmoids be interacting with other plasmoids and interacting with pilots and interacting with astronauts and seemingly having these interactions where they feel like they are looking at them or talking to them telepathically? Another name I want to mention is Chris Bledsoe. I'm about to go into him, but he is one of the ones that has been having these experiences, so much so that even the government has acknowledged it with these orbs. And he believes, he's a Christian man, he believes that they are angels, and he believes that they have been following him and that they talk to him, and he's been documenting it, right? And even the CIA has gone to his house, the government goes to his house, they talk to him, ask them if they've said anything or whatever, which is crazy. But he even has a daughter that's on TikTok. I'm going to show y'all right now some of the pictures of orbs that they have taken at their house, and you tell me if inside those fucking orbs, if you do not see something or things or creatures or something's in those fucking orbs. Hold on. All right, this is her, Emily. Famous photo of Nellie. This is our dog that passed away. It looks just like her in that. Here is a little creepy looking face. It's pretty distinct. You see the face? Right? 1, 2. Right? Okay, my favorite. E.T. Look, I right here. This one she says looks like E.T. That's definitely E.T. Here we go, my favorite little pumpkin guy. I knows. Cute. Tell me that's not a baby. I don't know why. Or something. Pumpkin goblin dude, but he's so cute. And here we go. What is like that? A shadow of like a full body. Makes me feel like this. What should we call him? Like the evil man? I don't know. This is her. I literally follow her. And so for those of you who are listening, it literally is pictures of orbs where in each orb, it looks like, one looks like a baby, one looks like ET, one looks like something. Different things. It's not all the same thing. It's like it's a means of interdimensional travel for different things. And that is fucking insane. But at the end of this paper, them theorizing that, like, it made so much sense when they talk about how the same elements that they need to create life, right, are the ones from the stars. So also a side note, I want you all to know you're all literally made of fucking stardust. When you get cremated and they go look at that shit under a microscope, it literally looks like a little bit of sparkles in there because we are made of the same elements that the stars are made out of, right? From the ground we come, back to the ground we go, but our souls go somewhere else. But when it comes to my own personal experience, one that we had recently, which was me and my husband are outside, we're talking about stuff, and all of a sudden as I'm sitting there, it's like I could see something. I sky watch all the time, right? I'm outside all the time. I see something out of the corner of my eye like flickering, and so I go and I turn to look at it. I was like, that's weird. It's a light, but it looks like it's getting bigger. And you know me, I'm always on the lookout. So my husband's still talking to me and I'm completely tuning him out at this point because I'm just looking and it's getting bigger and bigger. And as it gets big, it goes from like a light, right? So if you're looking at it from this angle, and don't look at my fucked up pinky, but when you're looking at it from this angle, as it got bigger, it started opening up to where it looked like a hole like this, where it was like, but it wasn't a perfect circle. It was kind of like oblong shaped, but it would move, and as it would move, it would kind of close back. So then I tell my husband, he's like, what? You know, he knows I'm always looking out, so he waits until it's like some real ass shit to get excited. And I was like, Victor, look. Then he's like, what the fuck? And he stands up and we start recording. That fucking thing was an orb. Me, being the crazy bitch I am, I start immediately going, can you hear me? Right? And it would get a little bit brighter and then go away, a little bit brighter and go away. And then I was like, flash if you did this or that. And then it would flash, but sometimes it would have like a delayed reaction. So I kept trying to ask it different things. And as I was doing that, a bunch of planes kept trying to fly by. But every time a plane would fly by, the orb would dissipate. But then once that plane would be gone, it would come back. I literally have video evidence, and I'm going to put it in my YouTube video. But all I'm saying is that at the end of this video, when you're watching it, you can see as the plane flies by, number one, the plane size, and you can see other stars. So to me, it's like you can see references of what a plane looks like, what a star looks like, and then you see the fucking orb and you can tell that it's different. You know, some people are like, oh, you must have been mistaken or this or that. No, bitch. I watch outside every fucking day, and I've only had like 2 experiences in my whole life where I saw something that I was like, that's weird. So then I come inside after me and my husband sit there and watch it, and as I was talking to it for a little while, because then it disappears after multiple planes start coming by, and then me and him both were like, that's fucking weird. So we go inside, and as we're inside, I'm just sitting there on my couch, and I'm like, I feel the need to go back outside. I don't know why. I just feel like I should look at least. So I look out the window, the side window, and I see what looks like a drone. I'm like, no fucking way. This is like in the height of me looking at all these drone videos in New Jersey from the last couple months. I was like, no fucking way. I go out there, and sure shit, it is a fucking drone, stationary, right beneath. I'm gonna put the video at the very end of my. I'm gonna put the video of it at the very end of my YouTube video right here, and I'm gonna show y'all how you can see the orb is on in the higher clouds, then the drone is right underneath it, right? So they're perfectly vertical, like on top, right? The orb up top, and then the drone down below. But why is a drone showing up to the orb? My theory is there was theories, which who knows if it was a psyop where they talked about the drones are Chinese drones and they're trying to show off what they can do and what America's reactions will be. But why have so many of these New Jersey drone videos also come along with orb videos? And there's a video of the orb knocking the drone out of the sky in New Jersey. And then why, in my own personal experience, why the fuck am I seeing a plasmoid and then all of a sudden I see a fucking, or an orb, I guess, and then I see a fucking drone within 20 minutes. It couldn't have even been 10 minutes of me coming inside after it disappeared, where all of a sudden that drone is. And then we go outside and that drone is there and it's like sitting there. And I'm like, what the fuck is it doing? And then I look back up and I see the orb appearing again and then it disappears again. So it's like, oh my gosh, like I just stayed out there for a little while and because it was so fucking cold that night until the orb disappeared and the drone was still there. So later on the next morning, I look outside, no drone, no orb, nothing, right? And like I said, there's some artwork from the 1500s that depict these kind of orbs going on in the sky, okay? When there was long before drones or any reverse engineered technology, okay? These are things that you guys can go and fucking look up. All right, look, you know, see this? So if you're listening, it's a picture of what looks like, it's like an illustration of an event that took place in the 1400s, right? And it was in Basel, Switzerland. Or no, this one was 1566, right? So pretty much they said that they experienced something to where one day some crazy shit was happening, right? And the moon and the sun were changing colors, and there was all kinds of shapes in the sky. And think about other UFO videos that you and I have maybe seen, right? So you got in the picture, they have orbs, right? But then they have these long cylinder looking things, which reminds me of the Nimitz incident, which it's the tic tac shaped craft that Commander Fravor saw, which I'll talk about in the UFO episode. But you can see that there's like giant long ones, and then there's multicolored balls. So obviously some of them, they were fighting each other, right? So in the depictions, it's like they are literally fucking fighting each other. What could possibly be fighting each other in the skies like that? Here's another illustration. It looks like a hill countryside, and it's this very like old book where they talk about events that happened. And another one was where they see these big, giant fucking spheres, orbs, right? And they look about orange yellow tint, and like one is across the city, like above the city, one is above a mountain, and one's like down in the mountain range, giving the impression that they're moving together, like they're all together, but they can fly high, fly low, they fly over cities. This was also in the 1500s, this one, which fucking insane. We're not talking about this year, bro. We're not talking about the last 20 years. We're not even talking about since Roswell, since the fucking 50s. We are talking about ancient history. Even in a very famous painting of the crucifixion, they have what appears to be, there's a term called Merkaba. It's a Jewish term, but a Merkaba is pretty much something that you can consciously create around yourself, to where, if you've ever heard of like the gateway tapes, where you can go and pretty much this is gonna sound crazy, where you can consciously meditate, get your brain waves to sync up, and then your consciousness can go outside of your body and you can go and view other people, right? This is called remote viewing. So this one was a crucifixion of Jesus, and you can see above him is what looks like, this is just the zoomed in part of it. It's a person inside of what looks like a illuminated vehicle. So what are we really talking about when we're sitting here and discussing things like the plasmoid paper, things like orbs, things, or people like Chris Bledsoe, or people like, Commander Fravor from the Nimitz incident? Because if we're going to speak candidly, I do not believe in coincidences. I do not believe that there could be multiple, cultures and tribes of people that have experienced crazy things that now we're seeing again and experiencing the same similar things, but everyone around the world has different opinions or whatever. It doesn't matter what anyone's opinions is. It matters that it's happening. But what I am asking is why are they appearing more and more and more and more? Are we nearing something? Are we nearing something? If I want to hear what you guys think, I want to hear what y'all's theories are. These are thoughts that I have right before I fucking go to bed every single day of what the fuck is going on? Why are we in some deep spiritual fucking battle for what I believe is our souls, and not just from a religious perspective. I believe every human that is on this fucking planet that is a human has a soul, and there is entities that know it, and there is purpose and intent behind us being here, right? And what is that intent? And what is the intentions of the negative entities? What do those look like? This is just describing possible means of transportation of interdimensional beings. To me, though, for me, it's like, what does this mean in the next 10, 20 years? What does this mean in the next year even? There's a lot of people that have been talking about since the 90s, the year 2025 being a big, big year for disclosure. Because to me, I feel like if something is happening, especially because the UFO crafts that they're talking about that they could have possibly re-engineered, that leads into free energy, which would fuck up all of the oil industry. And so if these entities that are interdimensional beings, and even cyclically, whether you see it through a lens of history or astrology or whatever, we are in a major time period for transformation for us as humans, the age of Aquarius. So I'm not saying I know everything, but what I'm saying is my brain likes to recognize patterns. And when we're talking orbs, there's too many things for it to be a coincidence. They are not just some weird thing that happens. They are real, and they're here for something. I know it. I feel it. And I can't wait for other people to know it and feel it and experience that shit, because it is a very otherworldly experience. It really puts in perspective that none of the material realm really matters. What matters is what you do with your soul and who you are as a soul, right? But unfortunately, we're human, and a lot of us have fucked up things that we've gone through, that we've been through, that fuck our brains up, that put us in cycles of egoic, matters, right? And I have lately, in the last couple of years, been really trying to get down to all the things that I don't like about myself, or reactions, or things that I do when I want to crash out, or things that happen in my marriage. I feel that for everyone to become the best version of their soul and reach the best version of themselves in this timeline, you have to start off by really facing your past and your trauma and your family trauma, right? So a lot of times some of us don't realize the reason we are the way we are is directly impacted from all the things that we've experienced as a child, or that we didn't get to experience as a child, or that we experienced as a teenager or adult. Any trauma you've ever experienced, all of that relates to your brain's function. And I want to, in my next episode, we're going to go ahead and go over trauma and how it can change your brain. I'll do another episode about the UFOs at some point for those of you that are UFO fanatics like me. But what I really think matters is people becoming aware of what happens to your brain when you go through trauma, and how it can affect you, and what happened to me and how it affected me, and how it affected my motherhood, and how it also, my motherhood brought up for me realizing the amount of trauma and reactions that I have that I don't want. But I really do feel like now more than ever, even if I still have, bad days or bad times or shit in my marriage, it doesn't matter, because I have felt less and less episodes of full on depression, full on anxiety. My self talk is way better. The way that I take care of my own energy has become better. And I really feel like it's because I started to acknowledge where I wasn't doing well at, and just kind of observing myself, taking a step back and becoming the observer, I swear can do wonders for your life. And I truly believe that all of this things that are going on, whether politically, socially, in the sky, but I really do feel like it relates to a battle for our souls. Yes, they're battling in the sky, but as above, so below, right? And we are battling for our souls here, right? But there's other things that are in between us that are battling for our souls in a good and bad way. So think about all the negativity that is going on right now. That is something on the other side, I swear. But what I do know is the only way for all of us to become aware of what our soul needs to really thrive and love on others around us, it's really about facing your trauma. There's no way for you to be the best version of yourself if you still fucking hate yourself because you feel like you're not worthy because your parents or somebody did something to you when you were younger. To be able to face that music within yourself is the only way to evolve as a soul. And I want everyone to feel like, no matter what they take away from any episode that I give or research that they go and look up, to confirm things that I'm saying, the one thing that I want to hone in on is that you being here matters. Me being here matters. Anybody that is here matters, or else you wouldn't fucking be here. People die every day. There is something in essence of life that everyone that is alive here has, no matter your religious beliefs, political beliefs, and you fucking matter, and how you feel about yourself matters, and how you feel about your reality matters. And the only way to change your reality is to change how you think, because that is how you perceive, right? And the ways that I am changing my reality right now, I'm in the midst of different things, ways certain things could go right now in my life, but I see how it's changing because of how I'm changing how I think. And I want y'all to understand, facing your trauma is the only way to change how you think. Whatever battle is going on in the skies for our souls and interpersonally between us, battle going on between us, it relates to what is going on inside of all of our hearts right now, and in our brains and in our bodies. And so many of us are in survival mode. And I don't want us to feel in fear if something were to happen in the skies or happen politically. I am becoming so much more firm and being aware of, this is just the perceived reality, right? What matters is what I'm doing as a mom. What matters is how I talk to myself and how I treat other people, right? That is what fucking matters. And I swear, once you face that music within yourself that you've been trying to push away, that darkness that you feel so ashamed about, is the only way for the light to come through. So our next episode is going to be over that trauma and ways that it affects your brain, and how epigenetics can affect your brain even without experiencing that trauma. And it's just such an interesting topic to know that you could struggle with things that you didn't even have to experience. It could have been a generation or two generations before you, which is insane. We are so much more interconnected to our ancestors than we realize, and so much more interconnected to each other than what we realize. And I swear, it's like these orbs are here because they know we're nearing a time frame where our souls need to make that choice. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be a person that is so attached to everything they have, their material values or this material realm? And at the end of the day, when you die, whether you get put in a box or you get cremated, you can't take a single fucking thing with you. Your soul leaves your body, and what you did and how you evolved here is the only thing that will surpass any physical monetary thing that you had. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. I know I'm a yapper, but to me, it's fucking crazy that we're seeing things, I personally feel like this is so much bigger than what everybody is thinking that it could be. And I feel like we all deserve the truth. And I want you guys, if you guys want to, go ahead and follow me on YouTube, Eartha Taylor, EARTH2, the number 2, TAYLOR on YouTube. And you can follow me on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And drop a comment on the YouTube video, or you could DM me if you have any theories that for the UFO episode, or just things that you've heard about UFOs or situations or interviews or people that I can go and look into that I could put into that episode, then go ahead and go for it. And if you have anything that you've researched about trauma, or whether it's things that have gone on in your own family, or questions you have about generational trauma, or examples that you want to use about things that have gone on in your family, but that you have personally changed it and how it's affected you or how you were viewed in your family, I would love to know. I would love to hear your story. I would love to discuss with more people. Like I said, I love to yap, and my favorite thing to do is talk about things that matter. So if you guys have anything you want to say, go ahead and give me a DM, like, subscribe, follow. And I appreciate you guys listening and sticking with me. I can't wait to keep going, because this is just day one, baby. We got so many things to talk about. But until next time, bye.
And it got big enough. It was like the only thing. Look at it. What right now, Victor? Look at it with your. If you use. I'm so bad at this. I keep trying to look at it and realize it's hard to perceive it. It's gone. You don't see it. My phones fucking suck, bro. This is me zoomed in.
Had this bit of rage come in me, and I walked over to the gun cabinet and I grabbed a little holster 44 Magnum rifle, little short saddle gun. I took that gun and I said, "You come with me, Jenner." He said, "No, I'm not." I'm not going out that door. He said, please don't leave me, Dad. I said, son, I'm going to end this tonight. That's what I told him. I was just being a father, I guess. So I walked back to that far back right corner, and I went through that little opening you see, and I could see this orb is about 50 yards away. Or not even that far, 50, 60 feet, 70 feet maybe. And it was pulsating. I could see the bottom 3 feet of it. That's all the view I had, 3 feet of view under there. So I crawled, dragging that gun under these trees until I got about 20 feet from that orb, 20, maybe 30 feet. And the electricity from it, the buzz, the static, my whole body felt like needles. The hair was standing up, and every goosebump on me was just tingling. And the energy was so strong, I couldn't go any closer. I just turned around and I backed away, walked back out of the forest, crawled out. And I got to the pine trees where the fence was crunched. I stood up and I went to step over that fence. And the minute I went to step over that fence, there were 2 of these beings just appeared right in front of me. They're standing like 3 feet from me, and just enough gap I could walk between them. And immediately I felt this shame come over me. Shame that I had this rifle. Why I brought this to fight something that there ain't no fighting, right? So I took the gun and I tried to hide it behind me. And what they put in my head was what changed me. From that point on, I never hunted again. I don't harm bugs. I have a way with animals now nobody understands. But that wasn't like that before. But these beings told me that they changed me. They told me that the way they put it in my head, when I say told me, they don't really talk. They put images that you know. It's just telepathic, I guess you could say. But it made me understand that the whole world is alive. Everything from the grass to every single animal, bird, tree, all had a consciousness.